Hi everyone, it's Book of Katherine. Welcome. I'm so glad to have you. Let's get into it. So basically what happened with me is when I first got sick, a lot of my people, on both sides, both in Silicon Valley and on the dancing side, they were both on both sides asking, like, have you tried acupuncture? Have you tried acupuncture? And there was part of me that was like almost ready to go for it, but I was also so overwhelmed. But our insurance covered it, and we thought it was kind of weird, and we were like, oh, maybe we should do it because our insurance covered it. But there's this part of the back of my mind that was like, well, if it's junk science, then why does our insurance cover it? And the thought in my mind was, well, so many people must want it. That must be the only reason that they cover it. And I was like, oh, all right. Well, I should have known better than that, because now that we're over on the East Coast, I've noticed that, like, I'm at one of the best paying clinics in the entire United States, and they offer acupuncture. And I didn't notice that until after I'd finally tried acupuncture, because we just gotten so far and we were kind of like, that's it, like, we're going to try it. Now, let me tell you what acupuncture did for me. And it pretty much after 7 years, I was like, let's try it. Like, when we got our taxes, because this is what you need to do when you are really, really sick. You need to go through your bank records and you just need to highlight every single thing you spent for medical. That's the only way you'll know. That's the only way you'll know. And that's how we found out a third of our income was being spent. When we knew that, we were like, maybe instead of traveling for all these doctors, maybe we should just try acupuncture. Maybe we should just try it. And we tried it last summer. And because of it, we dropped 3 doctors. 3. Acupuncture, there was this, remember the bleeding problem I told you about, like my bleeding and my, the bleeding issue that you saw me last summer, and I was like swollen when I first started my channel, and I said like I was hemorrhaging and everything like that. They had me on track to like remove my uterus. They had me on track for a hysterectomy. Like, they had tried everything, and I was with the best. I was with the best in Western medicine. I was really with the best, and I think that's what really did it for me. We did this acupuncture thing, and she gave me a way to, like, you know, regulate the bleeding. She was like, have you tried this? And she worked on my knee. Like, you just go in and you say what the problem is, and she just would ask, like, what's hurting? And I noticed that a number of things changed immediately. And then she gave me that stuff I showed you before in that bottle. I'll try and link it up here. I might not have time, but I'll try and link it below. In the video, I think my update video has it, or there's a video that has it. I'll try and link it. So anyway, and it has this stuff, and I've put that on me because it hurt all the time. And it's because I wasn't draining. And she also, oh, you know what else she pointed out? There was this pattern on my skin, this horrible pattern, like this web-like pattern on me. And not all of my doctors could not tell me what it was. They'd be like, what is this? And they thought it was like UV exposure. Every doctor was like, what was that? And we'd asked, it was like webbed all along my back. And she knew what it was. She was like, it's toasted skin. It's like toasted skin syndrome. And what it is when people used to get it when they sat by the fire, and it's worn off in the last 100 years because no one warms themselves by fires anymore. But it's on the rise because people are in so much pain all the time. They use heat packs all the time. So if you overuse the heat pack, the radiant heat will toast your skin. And I was using the heat pack so much on my SI joint that I was literally radiating my skin and toasting my skin. Like, I was literally toasting like my skin. So I was literally burning my skin. Not one of my doctors, because I'd been doing it for that many years, and not one of all of my doctors would be, they all thought it was like UV. And I'm like, I'm never in the light. I can't be in the light. Like, this is the most light I've gotten like all year. I'm like, yay, but it's, you know, winter light. But I love the winter because that's the one time I get some light, but it's like ending. So, but I don't care. It's you, my doctor would be so proud. So, but yeah, but I was like, my acupuncturist knew what that was. Like, all these amazing doctors in the world, and my acupuncturist knew the name of it. She literally wrote down the name. I got to look it up, and I found articles on it. And it was my acupuncturist who knew what it was, this toasted skin. And she's like, yeah, it's really on the rise because of heat packs. And I was like, yeah, like everyone uses heat packs. We all have back pain. And like everyone's getting it. Even like when we saw a massage therapist recently, like that same summer for the same, we ended up having she couldn't book, so we booked her later that summer. We haven't seen her since because you can't afford it or whatever. But we ended up texting her. She's like, I really want to know the name of that because we have so many clients with it and we've been wondering what it is. So can you text us? Because there's a technical name for it. So we texted her the technical name for it later. What a big revelation. And so then the knee swelling went down. So there's just all this range of remedies that the acupuncturist gave me. And there are times like you just have to see if it works for you. And you obviously want to go and see if they, just like your doctors, like I said, you want to get someone that works with you and that you get along well with, that hears you. I personally like doctors that give you resources. Like we were telling her that, we really liked our doctors because we were mentioning someone that we had met with earlier and they gave us a lot of resources. Like they gave us resource after resource after resource. And she was like, oh, really? And then she started giving us resource after resource. For like one of the resources she gave us was scars. She said scars can really block like the nerves and things like that. And there is this massive scar, like a really deep scar that I have right at the base of my spine, right where I have some of the worst problems that I have, right? A deep, deep scar from like a surgery that I had when I was younger. And it was just for something, a skin removal or whatever. So it had nothing to do with my spine. But she was like, look, it can really, this one hyacinth or hydrochlorium, I'll try and write it below, hydrochlisium or something like that. It's a certain kind of oil. And she's like, it can really like dissolve the scar. And I was like, okay, I'll try anything because I've gotten to that point where I'll try anything. And oh my God, it relieved the pain. I don't know what's in it. I don't care what's in it. But my scars, the toughness of them, they've all disintegrated. Like long term, like my belly scars, like the stretching from gaining all the weight, they've disappeared. Like they have visibly gone down. And I spent all that money on the Mederma patches, like those super expensive patches. And this one little bottle of oil is like overnight, one application, visibly, like I was like showing my husband and I was like, is this physically possible? So I just think that some of it, I was like, I felt like the Mederma was a scam. Does that make sense? Like I was like, wow, they're just some of this Western medicine stuff. Like I was thinking it through and I was like, they don't want us in Eastern medicine, you know, because Eastern medicine does work. It's an entire society. It's just their form of medicine. And it just works different. Like, for example, like my husband always has to work out my right hip. It's the biggest problem that I have is my right hip. And he always has to go in there with his elbow. And I'm always directing him exactly where. So like when I'm having like a seizure and stuff like that, or like if I'm really locking up and I'm like, he has to get in there and I scream and everything, but I'm like, get this one spot, get this one spot. We found out after doing acupuncture and I was researching it, it's an actual acupuncture. So it's a bundle of nerves that they actually put the needles in. It's like D3 or B6 or something like that. This whole time, even like when he massages, when I would have a headache, I would have my husband massage my feet and I'd be like, press here, press on my ankles, and it would just take my headache away. Or when we would do our road trip, I would have him massage my hand. It would feel so good. I found out all of that was acupuncture because I'm really toned into my body. Can you tell? Like I'm really tuned into my body. Severely turned into my body, like really, and I think it's just because I was a champion dancer. Like that is just, I was just really tuned in. I was a really good follow. That was like my thing. Like I was born a good follow. Like I didn't have to learn that. Like I could follow a guy with my eyes closed, like easy. And so I'm just really aware of my body. Like, and so like I can tell how drugs are affecting me. Like I can feel them in my bloodstream, that sort of thing. And so it turned out that all of these things I was having him do, they were all like my acupuncturist, she laughs all the time because she's just like, she can leave things on me. There's all these neat things they can do. Like they can leave little mini needles in your hand throughout the day. They can leave seeds in your ear. And they can like reroute, like all these things that we did with my, like when I used to be, because of my horrible upbringing. Did I tell you that? Like my upbringing was so bad that I had like 3 therapists write books on my family. Like there was one that wrote a main book or whatever, but I found out 2 more did it. Yeah, that's how bad it was. So obviously I was like on antidepressants, and then this one therapist came along and totally got me off them. But he did things that was like, you know, go ahead and remap the brain or whatever. It was really, really great. He just did through normal therapy or whatever. But he really was just kind of like, you know, we learn things and it just creates neural pathways, and he's just like, let's redo it. And I was like, let's do it. And so I didn't mind getting in there and getting the nitty gritty. And so and then that was it. Like, I was able to emotionally regulate from then on. I was set. And within 3 weeks, I was off of all of the meds. It was absolutely fantastic. I was very happy. He was like Harvard and Berkeley and Stanford. I got really lucky. So find someone who's like you. Find someone who's like you. Find someone who's like you. Anyway, so, but she would put like little seeds in the ear, and I could feel it doing the same thing in your brain. And it was helping with like my liver or my kidney or whatever. So that is one thing. Acupuncture has just like changed my life. And so now when I go into my Western medicine doctors, they're like, oh, this is like so improved. Oh, this is so improved. But if I ever open my mouth and say acupuncture, they get upset. And they're like, psh. And it upsets me. And I've learned not to say it. I've learned not to mention acupuncture, even though they offer it in their own clinics. So I've just learned, even if they're the doctors I get along the best with, I've learned not to say. Like, even if the ones say, oh, namaste and wusa, you still can't say acupuncture to them. And they've just learned that. I think that really, if medicine was really interested, if science was really interested, by now we would have merged the two. The two would have merged by now. Western and Eastern would have merged. We should have merged by now. We've integrated. Everyone says, oh, like, you know, did you know, like, the most wealthiest, it's the wealthiest in America, like, it's you know, it's Korean. Koreans are the most wealthy. Like, we have integrated. Like, that's the wealthiest class in America. We have integrated in society. Like, we have come together. Why haven't we integrated our medicine? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. All right. So, the second one is, the new one that I started doing. My acupuncturist said I really needed craniosacral work, which makes sense because I got whacked in the second car accident, which I didn't tell you that, but the second accident, remember how I said it was bad? I rolled in that one. We did 11 rolls bouncing along a freeway. Everyone who stopped afterwards said it was like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. We just rolled. We were in the desert and we just did this huge movie star. We should have died. So I was meant to be here with you. Meant to be. So, but my mid-back just snapped. That's why, like, when we're done with the hips, we go after the mid-back. The mid-back just snapped right in the car. And so, but the other thing that happened is that we had some stuff in the car, and this massive, huge, like, 12-pound plate, ceramic plate, slammed into my neck right here, just while we were rolling, and I had this massive abrasion along here. So, of course, I need craniosacral work. It totally makes sense, right? So, she said to go get that. Well, the lady who does craniosacral work also does energy healing. Now, I had experienced this energy healing from the huge branch of family that did it. And this was very different. This is like, if you can do it, do energy healing that's tied in with craniosacral, because it's very, very different. And what they do is actually, what this work is it's very much, it actually felt very familiar to what I did with my therapist, which was, remember how I said it was like remapping the brain, and it was like do image therapy, and it was like, okay, like just trying to remap the brain. It takes a lot of concentration, everything like that. But what they do is they go into the body and they feel where the body's speaking. You're going to think, just go with me here, because it has made huge difference. It's unlocked a lot of things. There are some things that the Western medicine's working on, but this is taking care of other things. Like, it's opened up my hips in ways. So this is how I'm slowly getting better, by unlocking both sides. And if you guys are really locked up, I'm giving you the stuff that's worked for me. So, and what they do is they go in and she places a hand on top and above. And I'm telling you, like, my belief system isn't anywhere near Eastern medicine, but none of that comes into play. What they do is they just put their hand on top and above, and they have me put like imagery. So I put like lilac, because it'll be hurting, screaming, like the pain level will be like hitting the ceiling. It'll be like an 8, 9, or 10. and it'll just, and I can't even hear it. And so she'll start putting like her, like, you know, she'll start putting herself, if you sit, she's very calm and she's very safe, and she's actually a dancer too, so I feel very safe with her. So she and I kind of both come together in that space, and I feel safe. She puts her hands on top of it, so I feel supported. That's what she says. She says, let's support this space, which is not New Age. She says, let's support this space. And then she's like, can you bring something into it to make it like replace like the pain? And what I'll do is I'll bring Lila there, and I'll bring my little cat Lila, and I'll just imagine her purring in that space. And as I do that, it like loosens the space up enough for her to start sweeping it away and sweeping out whatever chunks of pain are in there. And the reason I say that's like my therapist is that my therapist taught us this really crucial thing that my husband and I still use to this day. He said that children need their pain mirrored. Like if they have a boo-boo, you're supposed to go, oh, I'm so sorry you have a boo-boo. But if they get hurt, like if they scrape their knee, and it really, really hurts, the parent can help them regulate that pain inside of them. You don't help them regulate that pain by going, oh, it's okay, nothing's wrong. That doesn't help them. That makes them just push the pain down and they don't know what to do with it. It gets them off center. So what you do is you go up and you put your hand over the knee and you say, push the pain into my hand. And the kid pushes the pain, and then you say, send it into space, or like, send it to Pluto, or like, and the parent takes the pain and sends it away. And the kid can like feel the parent taking the pain away from them. It does something mentally in your head. It tosses the amount of pain that they can't help, the overwhelming part, and it supports it enough. And try it with you, your loved one, or whatever. When something hurts so much, and you can do that with emotional pain too, like when my husband's hurting, or if I'm hurting, or if something's hurting, like I do that, like if my husband gets a scratch or whatever, even like a scratch from the cats or whatever, I go in now and I make a point to go and kiss it with that's why we kiss boo-boos. That's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing when you kiss a boo-boo, is you're helping regulate that pain for that child. And so now I make a point to go and kiss his boo-boo and take it away and help take away the pain. And he's always like, that feels better. That's exactly what she's doing, because my pain is on such a greater level. That's what that energy healing is that she's supporting that. And then she sometimes, like, just as it loosens up and I get Lila in there and she purrs or whatever, in the room with me, he just stays there. You don't need to have someone there but with me, because he and I have a really weird relationship. We're like best friends. But he also brings my heart rate down. Just my mobility is so low. And also he knows, because sometimes we get into areas and the pain gets so, like, sometimes we approach areas of such great pain, and it gets emotional, because what happens is you trap emotional pain. She can actually tell, like, what areas were hit by the accident. She doesn't even have to ask, because she can tell. And, like, what areas, like the pelvic, like, she can tell, like, not having the kids, like, she could tell the emotional pain's there. Like, you hold that with you. The things that have happened to you in your life, you hold the emotional pain in your body. And we just do that. We do that. Like, I hold the accident right here that snapped my back and took away so much movement of my dancing for a while. And even now, you know, like, so many things. And then also, like, my liver, because all of my meds, like, she's like, you have so much in your liver. And I hadn't noticed. I mean, I did notice, but I didn't know it was my liver. And she just did all this work on my liver, like a ton of work on my liver. And there used to be this horrible cold tightness there, and it hasn't been there since she did it. And so there's just this other side of medicine that's available to us. And I don't get to go very often. I only get to go once a month, but I can afford to do it because I've dropped the other 3 doctors. Like that, the money gets to go over there to my acupuncturist and to my cranial sacral. And now we're at a place with my other doctor. Now we've met with her, And we know now it's time to move over into going to the massage lady instead of doing the acupuncture. So we're going to have to switch over and do that for a while because that's best for my health. Think about that. Like, just try it and consider that. Because my worldview and my education stopped me from Eastern medicine, and what we're taught by the media and by Wikipedia and all of that, it teaches us that an entire, I mean, who in Asia's sick? Remember that stuff I said I broke my toe? She gave me that stuff and it wasn't healing. And like, I went to the room or whatever and they were like, you'll just have to let it heal. And she gave me that stuff and she's like, they use it to heal broken bones. You just put it on the skin. And it was like gone. It was like gone 3 days. And that sounds like voodoo science. And I didn't care. I was putting that stuff all over my body. And now I don't really need to. Like right now I need to put on my mid back and that's about it. And I care in results. You guys in pain know what I'm talking about. I don't care anymore. I care about results. And that's why I'm sharing it with you, because I care about results. And for too long, I let worldviews and things like that and sales techniques and big companies and big pharma and big insurance and Western medicine and people who say studies haven't shown blind me from the fact that we have entire civilizations who've lived on it for thousands of years and who are healthy and who have successful business practices. And not only that, but they don't have insurance. So that, oh, by the way, here's another thing that you know the insurance that companies are threatened by them. Do you know how I know that? I know they're threatened by them because they actually told them, my acupuncturist said that she couldn't take insurance because the insurance company said on the contract that if she signed with them, she had to. This wasn't the way when I first started doing things. Like when I first did massage and they took insurance. In the contract, if you signed with an insurance company, the rate you signed with, you had to sign a contract that you would take all other clients at that rate. So if she signed on with them at $45 to take insurance at $45, they required her to take all her clients at $45. So she's like, I can't sign with them. I can't take all my clients at $45. I can take some, but I can't take all. That basically ensures that like acupuncture doesn't grow. They don't want someone to grow their business through insurance and then leave and have a bunch of clientele or whatever. And I just was like, that's the most, and I was like, that's lawmakers for you. Like that's bought, you know who, you know which party's bought, you know which party at this point is, you got to have somebody. And we know, we have learned the evidence is just out there. Like we need to get independent business owners, you know, just the evidence is out there. Look up voter fraud and things like that. It's just so much evidence out there. So I'll be releasing it. Anyway, that's a totally different topic. This is very exciting stuff. And I hope that it helps at least one person out there, because I stayed away from it for way too long. And I could have knocked years off of this maybe. Maybe I would have prevented myself from getting this far. I don't know. I know I would have prevented my knee from snapping off. I know I would have prevented that. So I hope I prevent something for you guys. All right. I love you. And if they start getting into colors and things like that, that's not this. That's the other, that's the new age. And I do not recommend that at all. Like my entire experience with new age, there's that I did not get, and I'm not recommending that. So if you believe it, cool. I'm an independent. I believe in your freedom of speech and rights and freedom of religion. I am all for it, but that is not what I'm recommending in this channel. Like when I see Eastern medicine, I'm talking about acupuncture, and I'm talking about the energy healing that is this, like supporting a space, and cranial sacral work. That is specifically what I'm talking about. So if they go into like, you know, something else, you'll know the difference. If it ever collides with your religion or your faith, you know, just hightail it. So just don't come back. So it's easy. We're too scared today. Don't be scared. Go out and be free and get healthy. I love you guys. Bye. Oh, and check out this video. these 2 videos here so that you can see the other 2 videos on health. So I will let it run a little bit so that you can see the 2 videos on health in this series. And I'm so glad that I was able to give you them, because I've wanted to give you guys this stuff for so long. And I'm sorry it took this long, but I'm so glad. So enjoy these.